There are some adversities which we are come to accept throughout our lives that they'll never come to an end. And this is the story of Sis Nomsa. Her season of having a child with special needs is something that she's going to write out throughout the duration of her life, throughout the duration of her son's life. And this brings birth to purpose in her life. This brings birth to vision that God has planted in her life. If you caught on part one of my conversation with her, you've come to understand that her eldest son changed what was her romanticized idea of what parenthood would be like.
Yes.
Dealing with a child with autism is not a child's play. It takes its toll on your mental health, on your physical being, and in her case, her marriage and the siblings as well. Welcome to part two of Healing Conversations, where I'm sitting with her. And today we kick off with her book, Unbreakable.
Yes.
Take me through the title of this book. And I want to start with the cover.
Yes.
I want to start with the cover because I see a 3-corded strand. And immediately, being the scriptural and spiritual person that I am, Christian, rooted in the word, the book of Amos comes to mind. A 3-corded strand is not easily broken.
Yes.
Tell me about the cover of this beautiful book.
The scripture in particular was preached at my wedding. And you will, when you read the book, you will see what happened at my wedding. It was not your typical beautiful wedding day. A lot of stuff happened. Like there was drama that happened at my wedding. But what I like it is that my pastor was prophetic. Pastor Nzo from Change Bible Church.
Yeah.
He preached on the 3-strand cord. And quite funny, I even lost my video, but I still remember that. It stayed with me. That particular scripture stayed with me. And with the way things happened in my life, I always said, the 3-strand cord is not easily broken. So your marriage will never be broken. Your family will never be broken. You will never be broken as a person because God is in the midst of whatever you are doing, as long as you've invited God in it.
Yes.
So for me, the strength will say, 1 is it's me, 2 is the situation, and the other strength is God. So we've got God in the situation that I'm going through and myself, and that's how I can overcome. And that you've got a beautiful flower, which is a daisy. It represents my late mother. She started the whole journey with me. When you read the book, you'll see from the time I was trying to find help for my son and how she influenced me at the end with regards to a certain decision that I had to make. So I had to put this daisy because she was a very beautiful, loving mother, and somehow I will never forget what she's done for me, the love, and this is also in memory of her. Yes.
It brings me to something I want to touch on. Let's talk about the role of support. How critical is it for one to have support in the family unit? Because we maybe tend to think and maybe propel the narrative that we are getting married and we're going to form a culture of our own. You get married and you have a child with special needs. And it can no longer just be the two of us now. It takes a village. What has been your experience in terms of having people around you?
This journey is not easy, and nothing prepares you to raising an autistic child. So initially, where it started off with my own mother, it was a relationship where the support wasn't that great initially. She was there to help me to go and see what was the problem, but the support in words, but physically when it comes to taking care of my child And it's not even coming from a place of judgment, but of understanding that she also didn't understand why this child behaved the way he behaved. So it was that thing with my mother where I always constantly had to remind her that my child is autistic, and when he's autistic, he's going to do 1, 2, 3. So, and I don't know which era, my mom is that type that grew up during that era where they've got ornaments and the vases and the beautiful stuff. And guess what?
We only touch them when visitors come.
Yes.
So Bongi Musa must not touch.
Yeah. And the house has to be sparklingly clean. And my son gets home, to my parents' house. He bumps onto the mattresses. Before you know it, you think he was in the bedroom. Now he's in the kitchen. He's busy holding some of the ornaments or the mugs. And so that would frustrate my mom because she's not used to a child like that. So we find that with families, it's not easy because they're not experienced in terms of being able to support us with our children. And it's not coming from a place of not liking us, and it has to take maturity to actually understand that if you are struggling yourself to understand and support your child, how much more the other person. So with my siblings, they were there, but it was not easy for me to say, maybe today you'll take care of...
you'll babysit for me.
Babysit, no. But the support I got from helpers, and then you know what happens with the helpers. They take care of your child, then it's as though you owe them the world. They start to manipulate you because now they are used to taking care of your child. It's as though now you owe them a lot more than what you are paying them. So it's that constant feeling of being dependent on others. Because for you to be able to do what I do, I needed to have 2 helpers. I've got 3 kids. I always had to have 2 helpers so that I continue to do my career. So it's not easy to think that some people have to even ended up, stopping to work, like becoming unemployed because they had no support in terms of people understanding their children, and the father would be the one that, takes care of the household. Imagine a single mother. How much more difficult that is. So the support is not easy when it comes to the family setup. And sometimes the in-laws would come in and assist. And it also depends whether your in-laws, in terms of where they are, is it young, in-laws in terms of, are they both working? Your father-in-law, is he working? Your mother-in-law, and all that. So I was also getting some support from my in-laws. In a way, I could leave my son with my in-laws to help. So that helped a bit. But the support is very difficult, honestly.
Mothers of children with autism. Yes. Tell me about that non-profit organization and support group.
Mokwa, Mothers of Children with Autism, was, like I said, was born out of my frustration of not getting the support. So it started off with very few moms, and I used to go to Telemokhwairani Hospital as a speech therapist to say, let's start support group, and we talk about communication, how you can assist your child to be able to communicate, because communication is not speaking only, but to be able to, you can still communicate through gestures and all that. So when I started off that, and then it grew from the 15 moms to now we have about 360 mothers in our WhatsApp group. So it has become a helpline for other mothers. We have a WhatsApp group where the moms can, at any given point, send a message through, and there'll always be a mother to actually answer that question, to say, oh, if your child does 1, 2, 3, it means, initially it was me giving information to the mothers, but over time, God has empowered those moms to a point where they're the ones that have the answers. Because remember, my son is 19, and there could be someone who's got a 6-year-old child who's still at a certain level of development. So what's nice with Mokwa is that those that have got more experience, they are able to say, no, do 1, 2, 3, and your child over time will outgrow that kind of a behavior. We also have a high tea event where now the high tea, why I came up with the whole idea of a high tea. We've said it autism isolates you.
Yes,
it
and
makes
it also isolates the child.
So you then sit as a mother and don't have anywhere to go, because you wherever you go, you always have to tell people that you've got an autistic. It's something that's always in your mind,
Yeah.
that you are not even free when you are with friends. So the beauty of coming at the high tea is that you're going to dress up that day. You're going to
Yes.
look your best. And how many times do you get where you just dress up and feel like you want to go somewhere and feel that the people where you are going, they're going to understand you, they're going to understand, they're going to empower you. So
Yes.
it is a form of empowerment, networking, and through the information that we'll be sharing at the high tea. So during the high teas, we invite professionals. It could be a psychiatrist, it could be a parent coach, a therapist, who will be talking on a particular subject. So this year we'll be hosting our 8th annual high tea events. And some of these came from my pocket, like I'd be the one who sponsors the moms to come. So even if a mom says, I cannot afford to come to the
Yes.
high tea, but I try my best to see if I cannot sponsor the mom to come to the high tea, because I don't want them to feel as though it's for people of a certain class.
Yes.
And what is nice with our organization is that we've got accountants, we've got lawyers, we've got very highly educated individuals, and we also have moms who are uneducated, but you know what brings us together is a common vision of supporting each other with our children, and we can all learn, you know,
What
from
I'm
each
getting
other.
about this is, help heal you as I heal myself.
Yes.
Because when we share our stories and we share our encounters, it strengthens me.
Yes.
But I also, as I strengthen you, I also get strengthened myself.
Yes.
I want to get into the, mental space of the child themselves as they develop. Because with autistic children, the older they get, it's the more the mental disorders on the child themselves starts to plague at them. It's the more you see the isolation where they don't want to mix with other children. It's the more you see the depression in them. How does one firstly spot on these ills, the disorders in your child, and how does one tackle them, so to speak?
Okay, just to go back, we didn't explain the fact that autism, it exists on a continuum or a spectrum, where we've got your high functioning
Yes.
autistic individual and low functioning, though somebody said it's not that, but the terminology always changes. But what they're basically saying, that those that requires more support and there are those that don't require much more support. You could still have an autistic individual who goes to a mainstream school and they pick up the anxiety, those
Yes,
individuals.
yes.
So basically with autism, you can have something called comorbidities, where there's other conditions that exist within autism. So you could have a person with autism who's depressed, who's got depression, who's got anxiety. And usually for those that are a lot more high functioning, they're the ones that suffers from that. You can even start picking it up from the age of 14 when they become teenagers. And the fact that they also don't like to mingle with other individuals
Yeah.
becomes a problem. So the mental state of autistic individuals really is a problem. Even the young ones that are non-speaking, because they cannot communicate, then they cannot speak.
Yes.
They can communicate,
But not verbally.
but not verbalize, because they are non-speaking. So they can't explain to you how they feel. So the way to express themselves is through throwing tantrums.
Yes.
I remember when I had a helper that came for the first time, she used to have this voice that was piercing, like, that kind of, and then my son would cover his, that voice. So our kids also don't like that. You're going to be shouting at me. So my son, what he did, one day I came home to broken plates and broken glasses. He was so frustrated, he literally just took things and started throwing things, and he was a teenager. So what happens with the hormones is that as they grow older, their hormones changes. When they become teenagers, they can also be a lot more difficult to handle.
Yeah,
The depression that also comes out, the anxiety, and they can also, some can be a little bit aggressive, if I may say it. And for my son, because of that frustration of having this new helper, and they don't understand each other, and she's also constantly shouting at him, then he started breaking glasses and plates and all that. And you as a parent, obviously, that is another thing that stresses you again, to come home to broken plates. And but at least you, because you've got that knowledge, you kind of understand and look at the situation to say, okay, what could have caused what? All right, let's, so that's the thing with autism. Because your child cannot speak for themselves. You have to understand the changes in the environment, what has changed. So my first thing was, oh, the helpers have changed.
Yes.
So now my son is struggling to adjust to the new helper. Okay, what is it about the new helper that triggers this behavior?
Oh.
There's no textbook that can teach you as much as autism teaches you.
What has your son taught you about yourself?
He taught me that I'm unbreakable.
I think that was the answer that I should have been able to foresee, that would have been the answer I was going to get. Yeah.
Because with whatever challenges, I'm still standing. I've never taken any pill. I've never been admitted to any psychiatric hospital. I've always kept my smile and my head high up. Not that I don't have those moments where I'm down. There are those moments. And I retreat into myself and I refill with the word. And then I come out.
The word.
Yes.
God sustaining you.
Yes.
The book of Hebrews, he says, my word sustains.
Yes.
It sustains through any situation. What about the fact that you can love unconditionally?
Yes.
Because I think as a mother, we love. As mothers, we love.
Yes.
But when you have a child with special needs, I think, is it not love on steroids, if there's such a term?
Yeah, it's love. I laughed because, we were talking with the other mom and she said to me, now I've got a love-hate relationship with my child, and he's the most affectionate child ever. My son will kiss you and hug you as you come to he'll be the first person to actually welcome you. And what is also fun is that he senses people. Not that he'll do that to everybody that comes, but when somebody comes, and maybe even ourselves, we are a little bit doubtful, especially with the helpers. When my son is somehow, we know that that person is not going to last. But he's like, he does the scanning, I don't know, spiritual scanning for us. But they're such beautiful kids and very smart in their own ways. Yes, yeah.
What is your vision in terms of bringing forth to others through MOQA, through other initiatives that you are doing to help support others as well? I imagine that there are endeavors that you are growing towards.
Yeah. In 2017, God showed me a vision. In 2017, I was looking for a property to buy for my practice. But then God said, Nomsa. Nomsa is my son.
Yes.
When I heard that word, Nomsa, buy this for your son. Let this be an institution. What are you going to do when Nomsa turns 20? So that question was like, buy this property not as a medical center, but particularly for your son. And you know how we are like, you'll say, hi, but God, I'm not ready. At the time I told God, I am not ready. I've got kids.
This is just too much for me.
No, next time, not now. My kids are still small. That was 2017. Came lockdown, 2020. 2019. When was the lockdown?
2020 for me. I remember that's when I started writing my book.
Yes. Then 2020, Mosa now is stuck at home. And then one incident that happened was very painful. I also wrote about it in the book, but I won't say it. Then God says, you see what I said you must do? I said, take care of my children and build a center for my kids. I want that center. Then that's when I started to Google and look for a property, and then I managed to find a farm with almost the things that I need to start off with. So I managed to get 5 houses, but in one property. that where now we're going to use it as an adult facility for our children, because when they turn 20, they'll have nowhere to go. There's not many adult facilities, because remember, when they are 20, they're going to stay at home. You are a working mom. How are you going to take care of him?
A 20-year-old, yeah.
Yes, and even if you've got helpers at home, when it's an adult, it becomes an issue to have them in your house, and you also want his dignity,
Yes,
for
preserved.
this preserved. So for his dignity to be preserved, so we thought, let's have this adult facility where we're going to teach them the skill. I've started chicken farming. The facility is not yet open, but I've started buying chickens and building in chicken coops, and I'm doing it out of my pocket. I have to do work at my practice, and the little money I make from my practice is to give to this particular initiative. At the moment, the funding hasn't come through, because you go through the process of actually registering the facility, and usually people want to fund when they can see their children. So it's not easy. So that's where I'm finding the challenge. But slowly but surely, when the center is up and running, it will give them a skill. And we also want to recognize their talent, because there are some who can be DJs. There are some who are probably good with particular sports, that we want to encourage them to do. And we believe it will be a one-stop shop where even families can come together for certain activities, whether we've got Family Fun Day, which we often do with our support group, where we bring in families, because we also didn't talk about the fathers of children with autism. We've also started Fokwa. I didn't start it, but it was born out of Mokwa.
Oh, yes.
One of the fathers decided to start Fathers of Children with Autism. So, God is great in that sense that, from a little vision, he's...
Yeah.
So.
And what are you looking to achieve? Because I hear you speaking about their, depositing into their skill, depositing into their interests, harnessing their own interests.
So just like any other neurotypical individual, they also deserve to be treated with dignity, with love, and we also still have to have visions for them, regardless whether they take 20 years to learn to do something. But I believe that they've got the talent and they've got the skill. Like, we also have to be able to tap into what it is that they are good at. And I know each and every single child has a gift.
My final question to you. As people of color, there is a tendency, so to speak, of not properly caring for our people with disabilities, our people with special needs. For us, it's taboo. What would be your final words to someone who has a child, an autistic child or a child with special needs?
I would say, if there's a mother out there who has a special needs child, get together with other mothers, join a support group, because I think it will start from there, that it will help you to be able to accept your son and to say you are not the only one. So get the support that you need, and because when you've got that support, it will be easy for you to be able to know how you're going to cope with your child going out. And more than anything, be your son or your child's advocate. If you are not the advocate for your child, nobody's ever going to do it for you, especially because you need to be the voice. I do that with my son wherever I go. I go to a hotel, first thing, let the people at the hotel know that you've got a special needs child, be it you go to the restaurant, be it you go to the shops. And you know what, initially it will be difficult, but continue to do it. If you can just say for a month, maybe all we want to achieve is going to the shops. That's it for you, and you've achieved that goal. With our son, we used to struggle to take him for shopping at Spa. But now my son is 19, he knows there are days for shopping, and when he gets to Spa, he's able to choose anything that he likes for himself. The staff at the Spa, they already Spa, as in grocery shop, they already know that our son is autistic. So what I'm saying is that just overcome one thing
At a time.
at a time. And then next time, even few minutes of just saying we're going to go to a park, you know. And I know it will be difficult initially, but later on, and then you get to that place where now you can be able to go with him in most places. Yeah.
What I'm learning from Sis Nomsa's story and testimony is the following. Awareness, awareness, awareness. Self-educating on what you're facing equips you to deal better with what God has entrusted you to. We don't necessarily request some of the things that we face. We don't necessarily, are equipped for them. But with God strengthening us, with resources that are available at our disposal, pumping knowledge into ourselves puts us in a better position of understanding how to help those who are around us and how to also help ourselves. Don't lose yourself in whatever adversity you are facing. Don't lose your marriage. Don't lose your other children. They are also important. They also have special needs of their own. May the good Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. And above all, may He replenish strength in you to face just one more day, just one more week, just one more month. In all this, you will emerge with great testimony of how you've seen the hand of the Lord in whatever challenge that you are facing in your life. It's been a beautiful edition of Healing Conversation with me, Tabise Mwepe. Let's meet again next week, Tuesday at 18:30, right here on TBN.
Get yourself a copy of our latest books, The Mending of a Broken Vessel and Maintaining Your Joy, a journal for daily positive living. Visit a bookstore near you.